Hey guys, what's going on? So, I've been wanting to make a video about the Scarlet Crusade for some time now. They're my favorite faction of Vanilla WoW, and the Monastery is one of my favorite dungeons. So I figured I'd talk about some of the bosses in the Monastery. Now, to keep it a buck, my intention was to make this a sort of hype video, but as I'm refreshing myself on the lore of the Scarlet Crusade and keeping in mind how the Crusade ends up throughout the later expansions, I'm starting to realize that they're kind of a poorly run organization with some pretty dumb leaders. And so, again, while I wanted to make this a hype video, it's now a sort of hype/roast video. That's their fault, not mine. So let's talk about some of the bosses. And the first one I want to talk about would be Interrogator Vishas. Now, if you played in the Burning Crusade, you can actually go into the Caverns of Time, and you would see him, along with Sally Whitemane and Renault Mograine, some of his Scarlet co-workers, as children torturing some sort of animal. I forget which one, but yeah, clearly James has had his career path set up from the very early times in his life, so on one hand you kind of gotta respect that. On the other hand, he's an insane person who really shouldn't be in charge of anything. James is also very well known for refusing to drop that fucking dagger I wanted back in 2005. But besides that, anyway, I think it's really indicative that the Scarlet Crusade saw this guy and they're thinking, yeah, we gotta put him in charge of some shit. And also, as you can see, these undead guys on the racks here, one of them provides a horde quest, the rack that he was staring at in the beginning of the segment. And basically that quest comes down to he stole that guy's wife's wedding ring and gave it to his wife, who lives on the lovely lake by the Undercity. I think you guys should definitely check it out. But basically the Horde has to go there, Horde players have to go there, kill his wife, take back the wedding ring that he stole from an undead person. But that's just the kind of guy that James is. He's really just a hopeless romantic who tortures people sometimes. Now, in addition to being the head of the interrogations, James is also the Chief Executive Officer of Cognitive Dissidence. Now, why do I say that? Well, this always perplexed me back in the day. 50, 60 feet away from where he chills is like an entire graveyard of undead. But apparently that somehow doesn't conflict with his intense hatred of the undead. He just lets it rock. Oh, and by the way, they're led by this fucking guy. I don't want to be judgmental, but he kind of seems like an issue. But anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Herod. Possibly one of the most iconic bosses in the Scarlet Crusade. He's the Scarlet Champion, and he's also the champion of crippling insecurity. Well, maybe not officially, but unofficially, I don't really see any real reason for him to be popping off that top all the time. I mean, he's surrounded by knights everywhere he looks, and he's the only guy who just has his tits out. And have you seen that giant shoulder pad and that giant axe he's carrying around all the time? What are you compensating for, buddy? But anyway, Herod has been very popular throughout the years because, well, he drops pretty much all fire loot. And given his role as the champion of the Scarlet Crusade, I guess there's some prestige there. Although if you take a look around at these plaques around here, pretty much all of these guys are objectively failures. So in that regard, I guess Herod really makes sense as a rightful successor, because he gets his ass busted all day by like level 38 players. But his room is pretty sweet, although I think he gets kind of bored. Allegedly, he's been
waiting for a real challenge.
But beyond that, we don't really know what he does in his free time or much about him. I guess he does a lot of bench press. But anyway, moving on, let's go to the Scarlet Libraries. Now, the libraries are one of the nicer areas in the monastery, and they're also home to two of our next two leaders. One of those being Arcanist Doan, and the other being Houndmaster Loksey. Now, one of these guys is actually one of the more brilliant people in the Scarlet Crusade, and the other is, this guy. Houndmaster Loksey is in charge of the dogs. Yeah, and something I didn't know back in the day is he actually has a brother, Huntsman Leopold, who is based at Light's Hope Chapel. Huntsman Leopold is the real Houndmaster, but he was sent to the Argent Dawn as a sort of diplomat to basically get talks going so they could fight the Scourge together in some capacity. And if you actually talk to him, he has some things to say about his brother, who he considers to be a failure and couldn't train dogs for shit. But, I mean, you take a look at this man and tell me he's not a raging success. But in all seriousness, I guess he is technically part of a quest to be killed, so somebody out there thought he was important enough to die. So, I guess that's prestigious in a way. And his loot is basically what you would expect it to be, which is trash. Now, as far as the actual libraries themselves, They're led by Arcanist Doan, and Arcanist Doan, there's really not much known about him. He's pretty much one of the smartest guys in the Scarlet Crusade, by default, because everyone else is kind of a fuck-up. What we do know is that he spends all day reading books and just chilling, one of the only arcane mages in the Scarlet Crusade, which is, I guess, kind of prestigious. Really not much I can say about him. The meanest thing I could say is that he should probably just commit to going bald. Like, nobody wants to see those guys who just kind of can't come to terms. It's kind of sad. But yeah, that's about it for him. Let's move on to the Cathedral. Now, when I say the monasteries are my favorite dungeons, I'm really talking about the Cathedral. The Cathedral, I think, has just such a great ambiance, a lot of great memories there, and it's really just a magical place. Everyone there just seems to always be having a great time, just so full of love for each other and companionship. Really just a place of pure professionalism and success. Ooh, psych! It's actually the home of Renault Mograine, one of the biggest fuck-ups, actually the single biggest fuck-up in Scarlet Crusade history. Reason why is because even though his daddy was his boss, basically, he just couldn't wait to get that promotion. And so what does Renault do? He decides, hey, I'm super gullible, I'm gonna make a deal with the demon, and I'm gonna kill my own father so that I can get this promotion even faster. And what does he do by killing his father? Oh, I don't know, he accidentally creates the most powerful Death Knight in World of Warcraft history, up to that point. And that guy is his dad, Alexandros, is currently chilling at Nax Ramus, just waiting to ruin the lives of 40 people at a time. So, good job, Renault. Now, who is the saving grace of the Scarlet Crusade? Is there fucking anybody who doesn't suck? Why, yes, High Inquisitor Sally Whitemane. One of the more powerful priests in Vanilla WoW, lore-wise, because she can just resurrect herself pretty much over and over, and she's kind of a boss, both literally and figuratively. In terms of lore, she doesn't actually ever officially die until Miss of Pandaria, which at that point I believe she gets turned into a Death Knight herself, which is obviously beyond ironic, to the point where it's almost like kind of cliche, but whatever. Yeah, so that's the Scarlet Crusade. You know, I'm actually a little disappointed that they didn't have a bigger impact on Nax Ramus back in the day. I mean, they really were hardly involved at all. You would think that there would be some saving grace to these nut jobs, but no. They're just kind of shitty. And now I'm aware that there's Scarlet Crusade forces outside of the monastery, most notably in Stratholme, Hearthglen, some other settlements, but I just wanted to keep this video concise and just talk about the monastery themselves, because there's enough fuck-ups there to cover a video. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching the video. This is only my second one. There's plenty more to come. Hope you liked it, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Peace.